Okay. I think I'm good. I think we are live. Let me just make sure that we are good everywhere where we need to be live before I start off this here conversation that I want to have with you guys. Okay, it seems like everything is fine and we are running. So I'm going to welcome everybody to the George Mokwena Show live. It's just a show where I can speak about my opinions on a couple of news stories that I've seen in the past week or so. And I can give you my opinion on those things. So we're going to start it off very simply. There's been rumors on social media, a lot of rumors on social media that Chiefs fans apparently want ZWANE back. ZWANE, of course, took over from Kaizer Chiefs last season. He was in for 30 games as the head coach and had a record of 13 wins, 5 draws, and 12 losses. And altogether, if we take into account his stints as the coach that comes in when things are going wrong, he's got a record of 16 wins, 7 draws, and 14 losses. Look, I think hiring ZWANE was a move by the team to try to bring a legend to the forefront and maybe stop the fans from being a little bit angry with what has happened over the past 8, 9 or so years, right? And he came into a very hot pot. He came in without experience. He came in with a lot of pressure mounting on him and had to learn some things. One of the things that he had to learn was how to deal with the media. Uata was out here talking a lot in the media and saying a lot of things that rubbed players, that rubbed media the wrong way, and he was very combative in the way that he had approached his talking to the media. But of course, on the pitch, it was up and down. It was up and down. There were really good moments. There were bad moments. But I think there wasn't too many complaints about him. Now, on to this particular part of the story where we speak about Chiefs fans potentially wanting him to come back. Let's start with the pros and the cons. The pros is that obviously he's been at Kaizer Chiefs for the better part of 10 years, transitioning out of his playing into these coaching roles. He knows the team, he knows the culture, he understands the backroom staff. He's not going to get lost at Naturena, right? He's a guy that knows those things. He also understands the development side of it, having been the coach of the DDC, done well on that side, and ushered in a lot of young players that came into the team under his tutelage, if I can put it like that. So there's all these things. Also, as a player, he understands the pressures, he understands the fans, he knows what's expected from him as a person who was a player at Kaizer Chiefs, right? So we can sit back and we can safely say that, okay, fine, he understands everything. But the biggest con is that. The biggest con is that ZWANE, at this point, Coach ZWANE, is part of the furniture at Kaizer Chiefs. Coach ZWANE has been in the system for so long that I don't know if he's the guy who could change the system. And this is besides the experience problems that we've spoken about before, where maybe it was the wrong idea to have him get his taste of head coaching at Kaizer Chiefs. And maybe since then he should have done like a Rulani and gone out on loan to go and coach somewhere else where there's less pressure, where he can develop philosophies and do all of that stuff. Maybe NFD, but that's besides the point. The point that I'm making here is that he's part of the furniture, he's inside the club. He's one of the people that, there's a reason why the club has been making the moves they've been making of late. And one of the reasons is that a lot of the people inside the structure are yes men, unfortunately. Are people that can be controlled, people that won't rock the boat, people that will speak about their brand and their identity and will hold on to all of those old things that once made Kaizer Chiefs great. I don't know if ZWANE is the type of coach, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't know that he's the type of person who at Kaizer Chiefs can be somebody who fights management when something's wrong. Can be somebody who's not going to take orders, just orders. Can be somebody who can look at those orders and see what's good and what's bad and act as his own coach. I don't know. I don't know if you have that type of history with Dr. Kaizer, with Bobby, with Kaizer Jr. having played with him, with all of these people. I don't know if ZWANE is able to not be family. I think the problems at Kaizer Chiefs have moved far beyond being family now. Can't be bringing in people that are familiar, people that know the club, people that have been there, former this, former that. We need objective eyes. We need somebody that's going to come in and see it for what it is, not for what it was, not for, these people have been so incredible and gracious and good to me. These people have been this. We need somebody who can do that. I don't know if ZWANE is the one. We already see with Kevin Johnson, right? Everybody was saying Kevin Johnson should come in. About Junior Khanye was speaking about Kevin Johnson. Everybody was speaking about those things, right? Kevin Johnson stepped in and he looks overwhelmed. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't look like an experienced coach. All of this is overwhelming, and all you hear from them is what? No, guys, the cloth, the brand, this is Kaizer Chiefs, the people in the back are amazing, we've got to live up. It's all great words. And that scares me because those are the people that are meant to be making the tough decisions on the ground. I think this also highlights one of the problems we have at Kaizer Chiefs in general. Management, coaching, players, fans. Guys, the olden days are gone. You can't keep going backwards. Backwards to Middendorp, backwards to Baxter, backwards to ZWANE now. You can't keep doing that. And unfortunately, these problems are bigger, are much bigger than what a coach is going to do. But at the very least, if you have a coach in there that doesn't have ties to the club, that has success of their own, that has experience of their own of winning, at least they can step into the role and I can trust that they would want to do better for themselves. But if we keep going back and we keep looking back and, oh, Kune must come back, and this one must come back, and let's bring back Uata, and he's better than this one, and he's not better than this one, and he's slightly, we can't keep doing that. This is the problem. It's a problem even up top. You can't keep the same structures and go back to Kaizer Jr., who's been there apparently, and go back to Bobby, who's been there, and do all of these things and not improve the structures, expand the structures, bring in people that can work. This thing of bringing in internal people is holding us back, and it's not just at coaching. It's not just at coaching. Other clubs are run by families, sure. But they know, let's bring in people that are objective, that know better. At the very least, hide our people behind those guys so they can learn. But you know what they did? They took Uata, they put him in the back, and they said, Yazin, just wait it out. I joked when Uata was removed that they just want to keep him in the back for a couple of years, then we'll see him come back. Even these stories about fans wanting him back, I don't know how true they are. But we can't keep going back. Just think about it. What is Atta's role right now? Coach Atta, what is his role right now? If I was to ask you what his title is at Kaizer Chiefs right now, as of this moment, what is he? Is he head of development? Is he head coach of DDC? Is he head administrator of DDC? What is he? And the secondary problem that I have with this is, again, it's the easy choice. It's the easy choice. And Chiefs has been making easy choices the whole time. Let's bring in Motaung to be our technical director. Last time we saw him was Bafana. He's been out of a job as far as I know. I don't know if he went back to development structures, but he's an easy hire to make. He's not going to rock the boat. He's not going to ask us for too much. Let's bring in Kevin Johnson. Wasn't the most successful PSL coach during his time. He was a good coach. I'm not going to take it away from him. But then he comes in After the Ahly stint, he was coaching in the first division. Do you know what's easy? Let's go give him a job so that he can come in and be grateful when he gets here. What of ZWANE? Another easy job. Hey man, Atta, you were a former player, you were in the development structures, you're sitting right there. Let's bring you back in. Guti istulo siyashisa. Guti, whatever's happening, we're just going to bring him in and let him sink or swim, unfortunately. What would we gain from doing this? What would we gain? These are the type of moves that you make after a successful stint. You had your coaches, they won all of the things, you want to do right, you want to do it organically, you want to bring in those guys. You don't bring in ZWANE again now. Can you imagine what would happen if ZWANE lost? Now coming back, what type of fires would he be under? So Chiefs fans, nani ngatni now. Lilona kare, you're losing the plot here. We're meant to be asking our club to do more, not these barest of minimums. We were meant to be asking them to go out and do their research. We want a proper sporting director. We want a proper head of development. We want proper people within the structure as well, that have experienced, that have done this, that have built, that have won. We can't keep holding on, guys. Repecha. Think about the planning of the last three coaches that have come into Kaizer Chiefs. The last three coaches. Kevin Johnson was meant to be head of technical and development, which I am for. I think he's much better in the back. And I think that's starting to build a team. What do you do when the going gets tough? You take him to head coach. ZWANE was assistant, and imtembanga CAF Champions League final. It's hot. Instead of going to do the work to go find people that can work in this new structure, revamping everything, you go and you pick up ZWANE. Put him in. That's easy. We've already spoken about Motsepe. Was meant to come in as a technical director, was meant to be technical, what was head of whatever, was sitting up in the stands, iPad. Things got tough, you brought him down to the coach's chair. I think it would be unfair for ZWANE. But I think the grander point I'm making here is that we are too focused on nostalgia, old things. We used to do this, we used to love this, he used to be a player, we used to run like this, we used to do this. And this would just be a cop-out. And I feel like it's just a fear, guys. It's just a fear. It's just a fear of the unknown and going to go do the work. I don't buy this thing of, yeah, somebody couldn't bring in their staff. They wanted to bring in their staff. They wanted to do all these things. How a lot of our staff comes from that. Where does Dylan Shepherd come from? Hunt. Reina Dinkelaka, who is right now the goalkeeper advisor or whatever at Kaizer Chiefs. Where does he come from? Mirendop. So why stop Nebi from bringing his people? Why stop other coaches from bringing his people? He's number one right now, Nebi. Ngali. Number one. As far apart. No one expected it. Yet we are still grappling with these type of things. Hi guys. Let's get right as fans. Let's sit down as fans and get it right. And get what we want right. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Big one. Patrice Motsepe has a deal going. I'll give you the background. There's a French broadcaster owned by Vivendi called Canal Plus. They own beIN Sports, for those who watch French football. They own 31% of Multichoice as it stands. But because of that ownership, it triggers a mandatory offer, and they want to buy out Multichoice. But of course, we've got rules in the company's rules. There's rules that you can't have more than a 20% voting and board and board representation. So you can't have 20% of the voting rights and 20% of the board, right? You can't have that. So Canal Plus looked for another different deal. And this is where Ntate Patrice Motsepe comes in, Dr. Patrice Motsepe comes in. The deal that he's been brought into with Canal Plus is that they're going to create another company where Ntate Motsepe would be the majority shareholder, even though the voting would then be more to Canal Plus, but he'd be the majority shareholder. And if that company buys out the rest of Multichoice, then that means that they don't break the rule of 20% voting, right? So that is the deal in place right now. And I want to talk about this from three aspects. Number one, the business of it. We all know that Motsepe is an incredible businessman. He's got a lot of companies under him. He worked his way up. He's now the CAF president after all of this. But this is very shrewd in one way. The broadcasting rights, there was a deal with BANYANA that Ntate Motsepe blew up. They did come back together, but they brought in New World TV, which is the broadcast partner for CAF right now. The loan was guaranteed by Sanlam, which happens to be one of the companies that Motsepe has a holding in, Dr. Motsepe has a holding in. And now this deal means that they probably buy Multichoice, and then they also might buy New World TV and own the rights outright as Multichoice in this new company that Motsepe is going to be creating with Canal Plus, which is an incredible move, The secondary aspect that I want to look at it from is Africa. This might be a better move for Africa because it allows Multichoice to now do a lot more things. If they're owned by Vivendi and Canal Plus, they're going to have access to a lot more money. And maybe the offerings, the sponsorships, and all of those things that they can do will go up. The only problem is that this is a European company that is, I don't want to say sneaking their way. They're getting in, side door, into Africa and into one of the biggest sports rights holders in the world. So they're going to be European rights holders, and then also from the African side, they're going to run the rights. So that gives a lot of money back to Europe, which is a bit of an issue. But then the third place to look at it is South Africa. If Ntate Motsepe and this company takes control of Multichoice, they'll be in charge of SuperSport. The offerings in Africa, they will have a say in SuperSport United as one of the things that they'll have, and DSTV as a whole, which is very interesting. Part of the thing that they're saying is that he's going to have to step down as CAF president, one of the things. But can you imagine South Africa where the first division is the Motsepe Foundation, first division. The one below that, ABC Motsepe. The Motsepe Foundation sponsors a lot of things within our football. Then you've got the CAF tie-in and also now multimedia broadcasting rights, which in a normal world, you wouldn't want to see, because that's how you create a monopoly. That's how you do crazy things. That's how you control football. But in this case, Ntate Motsepe has shown that even though these are capitalistic moves, buying teams, going to the top of Africa, doing all of that stuff, and you could argue that he's made something back from it, a lot back from it, he's also given a lot. And wherever he's gone, he's built. Other people would have bought his Sundowns and used the Sundowns to get into SAFA and then get into CAF and maybe get into the presidency and not do anything with Sundowns. Another person would have taken Sundowns, bought his Sundowns, got into SAFA, got into CAF, got to CAF presidency and not done anything for CAF. He's restructured many of the deals, and while you might argue that one of the deals that he restructured is going to do with exactly this multi-choice ownership, but you can't complain that he hasn't done a lot for African football in his stint as CAF president. So on one hand, yes, you argue about the competition part of it, is it right that one person or a group of people or a group of companies, in this case, has so much control of everything to do, a lot to do with African football, particularly a lot to do with South African football? And then also, you could argue that the deal that they made with BN at CAF laid the foundations for this move. But on the other hand, he's been good to us. And if nobody else is going to step in, not your Aliko Dangotes, not your Rupes, not any of those people are going to step in and possibly put the broadcaster into a better place, it has to be somebody that has the record of already doing so much good work within African football. And maybe that's where Tate Motsepe, man, we turn a blind eye to some of the competition questions. What's going to be interesting is that the SuperSport deal with EPSL is going to be ending in the next couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. And they're going to have to go renegotiate with Multichoice and SABC and maybe other parties that would want to form part of this and hold the PSL rights. Dr. Ivan Khoza is said to be leaving, and he'll probably be retiring in the next few years. Will the PSL be strong enough? Will the PSL be strong enough to negotiate in a fair place with Tate Motsepe? Will they negotiate with the best of the PSL's interests? But the bigger question is, whoever is the leader at that point, right? Can you turn down a deal from Multichoice, who just so happens to be owned in part by the person who's funding both of your leagues below, who has given SAFA a lot of money to fix problems? Think about the BANYANA problem through the Motsepe Foundation, not him directly, and his ties to CAF already. And again, do we want the rights to go to a company that is also controlled by a European company, as Canal Plus would be in this instance? These are all questions that are going to be very, very, very important in the next coming years. Should this deal come through? Should Dr. Ivan Khoza step down? Where does the PSL go? Is it time for the PSL to go out, get their own cameras and equipment and all of that stuff at a high cost, produce their own product and sell it to Multichoice, sell it to Canal Plus, sell it to SABC? Or are we going to hitch ourselves again to a Multichoice deal in this vein? And then, of course, there's other conflicts of interests. Tate Motsepe, whether we like it or not, his family, he still has his board seats there at Sundowns. Great. Still has his board seats. So will it be fine for him to have a stake in the broadcaster, a stake in Mamelodi Sundowns, a stake in SuperSport by virtue of the ownership of this team, the different sponsorships? Can that go through? Last I heard, Canal Plus has tabled the last offer and it's going to be accepted. So we could well be seeing the new owner of Multichoice on top of a lot of companies that he owns and other sports teams, Bob Blue Bulls, Bob Poland. They also get affected because of this SuperSport deal. There's so many amazing things, amazing questions that we can ask here. And again, yes, you asked the competition questions, the monopoly questions. Is it right for somebody to control this much in football? But then, on the other hand, he's been good to us. He's been good to football. He's been good to South African football, African football as a whole. Why should we expect that he wouldn't be good somewhere else? Good in Mamelodi, good in South Africa, good for Africa. Maybe it's going to be good for broadcasting as well. Maybe the things we cry about in terms of getting rights deals to SuperSport, broadcasting on SuperSport, advertising on SuperSport, the programming on SuperSport, for example, will now be geared towards Africa, will now be expanded, will now have that lean where now we'll be able to do more things that have been gatekept by the PSL, by SuperSport, by SABC, especially for us content creators, especially for us who love the game. It's so hard to get access to all of these things, right? So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say, guys. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Let's move on to a similar topic, Banyana played. Banyana played. And what I mentioned towards the end of the last topic about Banyana, I'm not going to talk about the actual game. I want to talk about the promotion of Banyana, about the national teams as a whole. There was a campaign run a couple of days before the game, literally like 2 days before the game, where they were saying that influencers, hashtag what, the Gautrain is going to be free. Students, if you've got a student card, you get in with this much money, yada, right? But for me, it felt like it was a little bit too late. For me, it feels like when we speak about our national teams, Banyana, Bafana, and all those people, there's nothing put behind those teams in order to make us aware of what they're doing. And I've often said that part of the reason why we don't love these teams and support these teams the way we're supposed to support them is that we don't get the opinions, the advertising, the PR, the marketing that makes us know that Bafana was third in the AFCON. That Banyana won the WAFCON 2 years ago, that they did very well at the World Cup. How am I supposed to feel for Banyana, for Bafana away if ever since, think about it, the AFCON was a couple of months ago. When last did you see anything to do with the Bafana winning, Bafana coming third at AFCON? When last have you seen Ronald Williams saves and things like that? So if I did not watch the AFCON, I do not know that Bafana is doing well. I don't even know that they're playing. When last did you see Banyana lifting the trophy? You see that in this picture, Desiree is holding the medal, holding the gold medal. When last did you see the 2 goals that I believe Hilda scored in the final? In the build-up to the final. When are we celebrating these people? And I think that is a very important point. And you can't just leave it too late to tell us to go fill up. Guys, in Nigeria, they've got a slogan for the country's football teams, for the country's teams, for the country. I saw during the AFCON, when we were doing watch-alongs with Nigeria, Nigerians were coming and being proud. Why? Because their federations take pride. Their federations know how to get to their people. Their federations know how to make them jump on board. Are we doing the same things for our national teams? You know, the Nigerian Federation is so far ahead. They understood that Sunnyside is right next to Loftus. First 400 people from Nigeria supporting Nigeria getting free to Loftus. Our guys couldn't even make sure of that. Couldn't even make sure of that. But last minute. They play the game on the same day that Mamelodi Sundowns is playing. So even if you wanted Pretoria people to go and watch that thing, Bakogai, Bashebileng. And what makes it even worse, to the point that I'm making right now, what makes it even worse, how many times have you seen rugby adverts? The Springboks chasing the sun. They're on Chasing the Sun 2 or 3 right now. Documentary series. When PSL matches start on Supersport, you see a thing here, Chasing the Sun, Springboks. PSL games, random PSL games, start with the Springboks. Because they understand, in order for us to love that team, you have to do the work. For the 2 weeks before, for the month before, we should have been seeing all types of activations, pop-ups. I always say, I live in Centurion. I have a Checkers close by. When you walked into Checkers during the World Cup, all the tills had Springboks. All the people who were working at the tills were wearing Springboks jerseys. You couldn't escape it. Months and months after the World Cup, We watch Chasing the Sun. We're seeing the clips. Rassi speaking about, hey, you know, we knew that France don't do this and we had to play like this and I called the referee and I did this. Where have we seen those type of things for Coach Des when she won the WAFCON? Coach Des when she went to the World Cup? How many publicly viewed interviews and things have you seen? Ronwen, what was going on? What's the chasing the sun? Chasing the moon. I get chasing the moon. Yeah, bafana. Where they teach us how to love Ibafana. Why to love Ibafana. Why to love Ibanyana. Most times you don't even know when those games are played. You don't even know. Sometimes you even find out late teen. Oh, Ibanyana 3. Jeez. I didn't know. Is enough being done? And it's a bigger problem when we speak about PSL marketing in general, South African football marketing in general. It's a bigger problem. But these are our national teams. What is being done? That's why it gets to me. SABC Sport, it gets about deal or no deal. They're doing all of those different other programs. But now I'm like, but guys, you can't give me a 30-second advert just celebrating Banyana, celebrating Bafana. Literally. 1 minute. You can't give me a TikTok. Yesterday on the show, one of the people who are on my panel on the live show, Uklara, was saying that, guys, you asked influencers to make videos, you didn't even repost any of them. Was it half-hearted? And is that what is killing our football? This thing. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Is that not what is killing our love? Our love. You know, I had a topic last week on this show, where I spoke about ZWANE versus Mdoggies, and why we feel a way about it. And yeah, that went a different way. But the point I'm making here with that one is, why do we know 1996? All of you can see, or a lot of you can see, Phil Masinga's goal. There was a push. We can't even see Bafana's great performances from a few months ago. At a time when they're struggling to get support, when people are questioning them, when Bruce is under fire. They can't even show us, okay guys, as yo, Bruce, half time. This is what he said. We have behind the scenes footage of Bruce's speech half time. Does that take a lot? Hey, we have a TikTok of behind the scenes. Bafana was doing this. Hey, we've got a 30-second video celebrating Bafana, celebrating Banyana. We can't even do that. How must you feel? Guys, you know, when we speak about rugby, we speak about it as though those guys just woke up loving the Springboks. Do you know how much work is put into making sure that even me, you who don't watch rugby, love it? Revere the Springboks, understand the Springboks. That the people who actually are the target audience of these things also get exposed to all these things. If you've never watched AFCON, if you never watched the AFCON, if you never watched the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup, I bet you know more about the Springboks than you know about Bafana. I bet you've seen Siya Kolisi's face during PSL matches. You've seen Siya Kolisi's face more than you've seen Themba Zwane lifting the trophy. Or not lifting the trophy, coming third. Or Ronwen Williams winning the goalkeeper of this tournament, or whatever. You've seen that. How many? You've seen more times. Eben Etzebeth, Elizabeth. You've seen that more than you've seen Desiree, Coach Des, holding up the trophy. Janine van Wyk and Refilwe Jani holding up the trophy in Morocco. And this expands to everyone. This expands to everyone. PSL teams. I always use a simple, stupid example. How many of them have active TikTok pages? How many of them go live at times? How many of them have interviews with people? From inside. That doesn't cost a lot, guys. And I think it's far bigger than just saying that it's money. I think we have an attitude that these things will just come. One day we'll all wake up. We will all wake up and we will all understand and love this team. But more work needs to be done. And it's got to be bigger than a few days before you are running a little, oh guys, make videos. 2 days before, Ninjalabo students, good guys, come to the stadium, it's free. Our teams have to start taking even the softer things, They need to start taking those things seriously. It's a new world. And like I said about Kaizer Chiefs is living in nostalgia. South African football is living in nostalgia. They're not moving with the times. And as I previously said, they're going to buy Multichoice, Pitso Mosimane. What's going to happen to EPSL? What's going to happen to bafana, BANYANA? Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next topic, the last topic for today. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, whether you are jealous, whether you are, whether you are looking at it from a place where people are benefiting, whether you say any of these things, you cannot escape that what RULANI'S Sundowns is doing is incredible. It's incredible. Rulani got appointed October 2022. Got appointed to October 2022 when he became the full head coach alone. Ever since then, Mamelodi Sundowns have gone 40 games unbeaten in the league. 40 games without a defeat. Chiefs' record was 32 or 33. Rulani's taken it to 40. They're 10 games away from being invincible. That is insane. When Pitso left and he said that he's going to be better than Pitso, right now, he's got 100 points in the league. 100. He got 48 points last season. And then he got 52. He's on 52 this season. Since he took over. 100 points. No losses in that time. Guys, I know. A lot of us are going to default and say, it's easy to do it with Mamelodi Sundowns. It's easy to do it because you are this or you're that. It's easy because you're spending money. It's easier. You still have to coach. To go 40 games without even a lucky win. Just a lucky, we were having a bad day and somebody handballed it into the bottom of the net. And we lost. That is incredible. And I'm urging you guys, please, 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 let's take off the hater hats. Let's take off the questioning hats and all of that stuff. It's a great record. It is an incredible record. Nelaki. Guys, Man City loses Kalaki. They go to Brentford. Brentford scores 1 goal out of the blue. They win the game. 40 games. 4-0. 4-0. And I'd also like to say, to give him credit as well, to give him credit. Do you guys realize that while coaching at Sundowns might be the most perfect job that you could ask for, most probably in the PSL, the most perfect job, there's pressure. There's pressure. Rulani knows that he could win the league, walk the league, do badly in the Champions League, and he could be out. Rulani knows that when you spend that much money getting players and you've got that much quality, there's a pressure that hangs on your head because these guys are so good. Imagine I get you the top of the line everything. Part of my expectations of you is I've done my job. As the people in the back, we've done our job. We've given you the resources. We've backed you. Now the pressure is on you to make it work. And we've seen plenty of teams die. Plenty of coaches drown under that pressure. So I think it's only right we give him credit. It's only right. As fans of football, guys, as fans of football, here's a new record standing in front of us. And it's easy for me to be, it's easy for me to be bitter. It's easy for me to be bitter. Right? It's easy. He's broken my team's records. But give him credit. And I see, I'm looking at a comment here, he doesn't do these things on his own. That's what I'm saying. When you come in as a coach of Sundowns, the machine is behind you. And remember that you are a replaceable cog within the machine. He said it himself. He's the least important person. But also, if something goes wrong, he's the first head to roll. Umanqaba had the same. He had the same machine behind him when he was demoted and made, you guys don't like to say demoted, but he was taken away from being a co-head coach and he was made into the first team coach under Rulani on the hierarchy. Whose head rolled? It wasn't the technical directors, it wasn't Rulani, it wasn't anybody. It was on his head. And let's be fair to him too. He's changed a lot of things. This is not the same Sundowns that played when he took over 22. In 2022. It's different players, it's a different system. You know, it's a lot of things are different. And it's not all him, but give him the credit, guys. Can we please just celebrate? As we speak so much about bad things every day on these shows of ours on social media. Every day we talk about coaches doing this wrong, coaches doing that wrong. Can we celebrate these guys and put aside our tribalism? Because also, the greatest thing about this is that he's relatively young as a coach and he's South African. He's one of us. He's at the helm of one of the best teams in Africa. He's one of us. He's on Instagram. He does all of these things. It's not all the coaches and the guys we always see. And not to take anything away from them, guys. I don't want to take anything away from them. But this only helps us in future. This maybe even makes it possible when we think about South African coaches and we say we want coaches to aspire to something. Here's an example. So I just wanted to take the last few minutes of the show to honestly just say kudos to Rulani, Coach Mokwena. Kudos. Kudos to Mamelodi Sundowns. What they're doing is incredible. Honestly, what they're doing is incredible. The fact that they've been able to keep the standard up for this long and improve on it year on year on year is incredible. And I will always say, I am jealous of Sundowns. But I'm not jealous of Sundowns because I don't want my jealousy to lead me to saying we must pull Sundowns down in order for them to, come back down to earth. That's the way we want to win this. I'm jealous because I would love my team to have such lofty goals, to have such lofty aspirations, to put resources behind it and chase them. I was so disheartened by Bab Kaizer when Bab Kaizer said essentially they're waiting for Sundowns to trip and fall on their own. Liverpool took 30 years to get their league. It happens. Bayern Munich always wins their leagues. But I think Sundowns is showing us that there's when you take your team seriously, the results come. So bigger than Rulani, well done to Mamelodi Sundowns, the people in the back, the technical directors, the academy directors, the way they've structured all of that, guys. So that's why I just want to say that. Just can we put away those things, even if it's just for a moment? Even if just for a moment, it's an incredible record, and let's see if it continues, how long it will continue. But on the same token, let's hope that the other teams are working hard enough to try stop it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. This has been the George Mokwena live show. If you came in late, it will be available on YouTube in full. When I'm done right now, it's going to be there. But I'm also going to cut up segments and do all of the other stuff. Guys, it's been amazing. Remember, the live show where I discuss with you, where you can jump onto TikTok and we discuss, 7 p.m. So if you have not followed, 7 p.m. is the live show. That's where we'll have a conversation. The normal show is Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. Fridays 12:30 is my members show, and then we also do watch-alongs of the big three: Pirates, Sundowns, and Kaizer Chiefs, as well as BANYANA, bafana should they play, and also in some cases, for example, BANYANA Ahly playing Champions League, we also watch those games too. So please follow and support. I also do my own content that I put out on the side as well that is football related on those channels. Go and watch. I promise you, they're amazing. If you want to be in the WhatsApp group, go on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and then you'll be able to join the WhatsApp group. And that's where we have these discussions, like broad, like very, very harder, because we don't have a time limit and we don't have a character limit, and we can put up videos and voice notes and all of that. Really is an incredible place where we learn every day about football. So join me there too. Guys, it's been real. I'll see you guys at 7.